of these people who are household names, there's no one in this room that wouldn't know, are desperately unhappy people. Desperately unhappy people. So I've chosen apparently 3 things that I'd like to dispel this evening. So I'm going to give you what we all grow up and are inculcated into our mind's eye. But not only are they wrong, they're the cause of unbelievable pain. So let's use pop myth number 1. Love at first sight. We all have this notion, boy meets girl, they look across the dance hall, cartwheels, it happened, boom, Facebook. There's nothing further from the truth. So from a Torah perspective, it doesn't exist. The concept of love at first sight is antithetical to the Torah. Now understand, most of us grow up thinking the Torah is some antiquated medieval thing with an ark, and as you start getting more sophisticated and understanding the Torah, it's Torah Chaim, it's the instructions for living. You want to have a successful marriage, you want to be successful in business, it's all there. Unfortunately, we think of it still in terms of, Cecil B. DeMille's Charlton Heston going up a mountain. It didn't happen that way. So the concept of love at first sight is the antithesis of the truth. How do we know that? We know that because the Hebrew word for love, ahavai, if you look at the word and you take it the root, heves, in original Aramaic means to give. We all grew up in the Western world thinking that love is an adjective. Love is a description of a feeling. Love is this besotted feeling where you feel weak at the knees and woozy, and you start. From a Torah perspective, which means the perspective that is in our DNA, love is not an emotion. It's a byproduct of giving. Ahava meaning to give. The more you give, the more you love someone. How do we know that? Intuitively, you realize that as a general rule, a parent will always love a child more than a child loves a parent. Let me say it again. How do we know that a parent will always love a child more than the child loves a parent? How? Why? It's from giving. It's from the constant sense of giving. And again, God created the world using Lashon HaKodesh, the original Hebrew. So obviously that has an intrinsic meaning. So ahava means love. There's got to be something more than just the heart. If you break it down, it's giving. When I hear people, and I speak on a lot of different campuses, the concept of love at first sight, what people really mean is lust at first sight. And where the people that get hurt the most, and it breaks my heart every year for the last, 15 years, I speak to the 12th grade EULA girls. I kick everyone out the room. The principal, everyone, and say, you can ask Rabbi Gordon anything. Obviously, all the kind of questions they're scared to ask. I've been trained, and it's amazing. It comes back to, I always leave with the annual, whatever we call this, question and answer session with such a heavy heart. because unfortunately, women have this subliminal notion of really if I don't in some way have a certain aesthetic appeal, then there won't be this love. And unfortunately, that's what the Western world tells us through Kim Kardashian and others. There's nothing further from the truth. That's lust at first sight. There is a concept in Judaism called a soulmate. When we're talking about love at first sight in this context, that's a body mate. And it's disgusting. It's looking at someone as a piece of attractive meat. The Torah says there's 2 parts to us. There's the body, which we're supposed to look nice, we're supposed to look well dressed, you're not supposed to look like a schlepper. Trust me, you're not supposed to look like. But the essence of what we are that other people don't have is our soul. 7.2 billion people in the world. There's only 13.7 million Jews. We're 0.02% of the world population. For reasons which hopefully we'll get into a little bit later this evening, God chose to bestow upon each and every one of you the biggest gift that can ever be given to a human being. You are given a Jewish soul. There are 1.7 billion people in China. They didn't get what you've got. There are people making millions of dollars with three pointers in the NBA. They still didn't get what you got. Walking around 6'2" with tattoos looking like a gorilla doesn't mean you've got a soul. The soul that we've got, and the spiritual DNA of a Jewish soul is the most powerful energy in the entire world, and we'll talk about that. Don't compromise and proverbially dumb yourself down to be nothing more than a beautiful animal. That's lust at first sight. And it breaks my heart because I see people getting hurt and I see people falling into whatever Madison Avenue tells us what love is and what a woman's supposed to be. There's nothing in the world further from the truth. So concept number one is love at first sight. Concept number two is, and this is one of the hardest concepts that when we first started developing a seminar on this, that we had to go through. So I'll try and go through a lot of material in a short amount of time. We all grew up with the notion that pain is bad. We all grow up with the notion that a happy life means a pain-free life. Nothing further from the truth. Nothing further. How do we know that? Does anyone know how a pearl is made? A beautiful, valuable, gorgeous, shining white pearl. Yes, sir.
An oyster opens up and a little piece of...
Okay, so what is an oyster? So let me tell you what happens. I just want you to hear what the amphibian or what the animal in question. You're correct. So here's what God did. There's an animal in the ocean called an oyster.